All right, let's talk about something that's probably driving a lot of you developers crazy. You're deep into a project and your AI coding assistant just gives up, loses context. Well, OpenAI has a new model, Caribou, that they claim is the fix we've all been waiting for. So in this explainer, we're going to tear it down, what makes it tick, how it stacks up against the competition, and most importantly, what this all means for the future of how we build software. But first, let's be real for a second. I think a lot of us can agree on this. Are today's AI coding assistants kind of broken? You've been using them, and you just get that feeling that they're not quite there yet, especially when the going gets tough. And yeah, this slide right here, this is the stuff I'm talking about. It perfectly nails the frustration, doesn't it? The AI just loses the plot in multi-file projects. It has no clue about your overall architecture. And forget about trying a complex refactor, it just falls apart. Or worse, it generates code that completely breaks something that was working perfectly fine before. This is the exact headache that OpenAI says Caribou is here to solve. So, okay, let's meet this supposed hero, Caribou. And just to be clear, this isn't some minor patch or a small update. OpenAI is really pushing this as the next big evolution in coding AI, and it's all built on their brand new GPT-5.2 foundation. So what is Caribou really? Well, it's not something built from the ground up. Think of it as the next generation of Codex. The AI that was the original engine behind GitHub Copilot. This is its successor. But here's the key difference. This time, OpenAI has released it as one single super high-end model. It's designed from day one to be the default choice for serious professional development work. No messing around with smaller versions. Okay, so what can it actually do? What are the superpowers that are going to make a real difference in your day-to-day workflow? Because that's what really matters, right? And this is where Caribou supposedly starts to shine. The absolute headline feature, the one they're shouting about, is something they're calling long horizon reasoning. Now, that sounds a bit jargony, but what it boils down to is this. The model can actually hold the context of a massive project in its mind. We're talking huge code bases. The whole point is to finally stop the AI from forgetting critical dependencies or breaking your existing code when you're hours deep into a complicated task. So how does it pull that off? Well, with a context window that is just massive. We are talking 256,000 tokens. Now, that's a big number, for sure, but what does a number like that actually mean for a developer? It means the model can remember and reason about an amount of code that's roughly the same as several full-length novels. Let that sink in. That's the technical backbone that is supposed to finally solve that incredibly frustrating problem of the AI losing track of what it's doing halfway through a big project. And having that huge context window enables a totally new way of working. Caribou isn't just an autocomplete. It's what they call an agentic model. It's designed to take on huge jobs, like migrating an entire legacy code base from one framework to another without getting lost. But it goes further. It can actually execute the code it writes, run your tests, and even search documentation to check its own work. It's less like a tool and more like a proactive partner. Plus, they've specifically improved support for Windows and beefed up its security auditing skills. Now, obviously, OpenAI isn't the only player in this game. The competition is getting really intense, which honestly is fantastic news for all of us. So how does Caribou actually stack up against the other heavy hitters out there? This table gives a really nice, quick and dirty overview of the landscape. You've got Caribou going for that peak performance, high-end slot, but then you have its main rival, Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 4.5, which is legendary for its ability to stay focused on a single task for over 30 hours. That's insane. Then you've got different approaches entirely. Google is integrating Gemini into workflows with agent frameworks. And you've got the open-weight options like Mistral's DevStral 2, which is all about cost efficiency and running things locally. And of course, Meta's Llama series gives you that open-source freedom. The point is, it's not a one-horse race. There are different tools for different needs. So with all this new tech and fierce competition, what does it actually mean for you? Because whether you're a developer or just someone who uses apps on your phone, the ripple effects here are going to be pretty huge. Okay, for developers, this is the big one. It's a massive productivity multiplier. Your job starts to shift away from grinding out boilerplate code and chasing down bugs, and more towards thinking about high-level architecture and design. For everyone else, it means you get new apps and features faster, and they're more reliable with fewer bugs. And for anyone just starting out, this is an unbelievable tutor. It drastically lowers the barrier to entry for learning how to code. But, it's not all sunshine and roses. There's a really critical risk here. What's known as the dual-use problem. Think about it. An AI that is really, really good at finding and fixing security holes in code is also really, really good at finding and exploiting those same holes. And that's a major challenge that the whole industry is wrestling with. And that brings us to the inevitable question about jobs. This new reality almost certainly means a shift in the workforce. The role of a developer is evolving. It's becoming less about manually typing out every line of code and more about collaborating with an AI, overseeing its work, and focusing on that big picture system design. All right, so after hearing all that, you're probably asking, when can I actually use this thing? Well, the good news is, Caribou isn't some far-off concept. It's already here.
So here's the rollout plan. The official release, under its official name, GPT-5.2 Codex, actually happened back on December 18th, 2025. So if you're a paid subscriber to Chat GPT or GitHub Copilot, you should already have access to it. For all you developers waiting on API access, that's scheduled to start rolling out in early 2026. And behind the scenes, OpenAI is already running invite-only pilots for even more advanced versions. So things are moving fast.
So, what's the final verdict on Caribou? Well, it really does feel like a fundamental shift. We're moving beyond just a simple tool. This is something that feels much more like a genuine partner in the whole development process. I think this quote just nails it. We really are heading into a future where writing code is less about syntax and more like having a conversation with an expert assistant who can handle the details. The classic image of a developer hunched over a keyboard is changing. This is a whole new way for humans and machines to build things together, and Caribou is a huge step on that path. Which really just leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. As these AI models get more and more capable, as they start handling complex tasks that we always thought were exclusively human, is it time to start thinking of them not just as tools we use, but as our next coworkers?